welcome to 28 Days and Beyond.
The show where we talk about our history, our heritage, and our culture.
I'm Amari.
I'm Kharisma. Welcome back.
Hey, hey.
How are you, sir?
I'm all right. What about yourself?
I'm good.
Yeah?
We're matching today, and we didn't plan this.
We didn't plan it.
We're just like on the same wavelength.
Wavelength, yeah.
I like
that's it.
I dig it.
Yeah.
So, question for you, Amari. How do you feel about wine and cheese?
That's bougie as hell.
How so?
First of all, that's some white people stuff.
What you mean?
You be eating wine and cheese?
Of course.
Word? With crackers?
Yeah, like a variety.
A variety?
Yes.
Okay, so like what variety? Like different crackers go with different cheeses?
Yes.
All right.
So, like, there's a brand of Gouda that Whole Foods has that's
smells
aged.
horrible, bro.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It actually has like a nutty undertone. It's delicious.
Okay.
And
so why not eat
aged
nuts if that's the
18
case?
months.
Is he
Well, a lot of
almonds
times
and
with
cashew?
cheese platters, there are nuts on cheese
Really?
platters. Yes.
That's what's up. Okay.
And some form of fruit.
Okay.
But more than anything,
Yep.
there's wine that's usually included with these kind of gatherings. So are you not a fan of wine at all?
I mean, no.
Not at all?
I don't really drink like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're not a fan of fermented grapes?
No.
Okay.
I just
Well,
like
I
regular
am
grapes.
a fan of fermented grapes and regular grapes.
Yeah.
No,
Purple or green?
both. So interesting enough, because we're talking about wine.
Yeah.
Not to sound like a wino or anything.
Right.
But when I was younger, my grandparents had a grapevine right here in Philadelphia, and they used to make wine when I was a kid. So
Just
that
like
was
that.
my first introduction to wine.
So you were involved in the process?
They showed me how to do it.
What is it, a long process?
It was. It was a very long process. So we'd go out and we pick the grapes, and we take the stems off of all of them, and they had these big like containers, I guess, that were made of glass, and then they would put the grapes in there, and they would put sugar in there, and then you have to let it sit. I don't remember how long you have to let it sit, but you have to let it sit for a certain amount of time, and then you have to go in with like a cheesecloth and like drain all the skin as the skins come
Sounds like a
off,
lot of
and,
work.
Like, add and add and add, and eventually you get wine, and it's delicious.
Just like that?
Well, it's a long process.
That's why people just go to the liquor store and buy it instead of going
that's
through that
why,
whole
because
process.
it's a process.
So you know all about wine?
I don't.
Okay.
I enjoy it, but I would like to learn more about wine. And it's interesting because I feel like a lot of people don't know a lot about wine, particularly us.
It comes in a box.
Well, it shouldn't. But so often we hear like, oh, let's just get some Moscato or whatever. So, like.
That's not high class, Moscato?
I mean, well, I know what I'll do.
All right.
I'll let the expert,
Okay.
our guest for today,
All right.
Bryant Fennell.
Yeah.
He is a sommelier.
It's
He
a brother?
knows
It's a
all-
brother?
He's a brother.
So hold on. See, this isn't just,
No.
There are black people who really get down wine like that?
Yes.
All right, let's go.
So our guest, Bryant, is going to be here, and he's going to tell us all about the world of wine.
Nice.
When we come back with more 28 Days and Beyond, right after this.
We're back on 28 Days and Beyond. We're joined by Bryant Fennell.
Welcome.
Hey.
Hey. That's you.
That's me. Hey, how's it going?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm fantastic. How about yourselves?
I'm doing well.
Yep.
Yeah,
Cool.
doing well.
Yeah.
All right.
So you are a sommelier.
Yeah.
Yeah, you put a little.
Yeah, you know,
What
you
the
got
heck is a sommelier?
So it's just a wine expert. It originates from someone just designated to take care of wine for someone. That's it. Just to be able to know how to take care to treat it, because it's a real delicate thing.
Okay.
So somewhere in France back in the day, there was a king or somebody who was really rich, and they were like, I don't even want to deal with all this. I'm just going to hire somebody
Take care of
Yeah.
my wine.
Yeah.
to deal with all of that.
Yeah.
Like what kind of stuff, though?
All right, so just think. All right, so within the food and beverage industry in general, it's a form of butlerism. So everyone has their own specific task. So a butler used to handle everything.
Yeah.
So instead of taking that strain on one person, they just delegate it. So within the culinary aspect, you have this one person that's taking care of just the precious wine. So just think of temperature of the room, how to serve it, when to serve it, which ones to collect and just let sit, valuable, how to buy it, you know, things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So take us back to the beginning. Like, when did you decide that you wanted to get into this art form and learn all about wine?
That's like, okay, that was a couple years ago. That was only like 2 years ago when I discovered that I actually wanted to take this route with it. Prior, I was a bartender, a cocktail bartender, and that's where you start learning to pay attention to detail. So it was this one time when this person came in, this lady, she asked me what kind of wine should she have with her food. And I looked at her and I said, whatever kind you like, you know, which is a disservice in my whole thing, you know, because I want to be able to recommend anything to anyone so they can have a good time and experience. So at that time I just knew. I was like, I dropped the ball.
You got to step the game up.
You know, because I knew nothing about wine. So therefore I was just like, all right. I set a goal that I wanted to be one of the best, if not the best, all-around bartender, period.
All right.
So from there, I start studying about wine, and I start learning the history that they don't teach in schools of, like, what actually happened during Christopher Columbus' path to the New World. You know, when you start finding out all of these little moments in history throughout wine, it's just... you just get a whole different connection and understanding of the way of the world. So
Wait, but hold up though.
Yeah.
I want to know. Like, what are some of these
you
things?
piqued
Like,
his
what's one of those
curiosity.
things that you learned, you know, about the history of this thing?
all right, so it all came down to spices. So while he was sitting here, he was trying to go to India in order to get the spices because the culinary scene was really not progressing. So they had to go elsewhere to find different ingredients, and within that, they would bring people to come help build upon their civilization, and never give those people back to wherever, because you know the food was
there's
good.
a word for that.
You know, so yeah, so just that whole voyage itself, you know, going all the way around and planting different grape varietals in Brazil, Argentina, that whole voyage, just sitting there planning and taking and then just planning everywhere else you would go, and just more so just taking.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, what is it that, in terms of like schooling, because you have to take classes to actually
No.
You don't?
No,
You don't?
No, you don't.
Okay,
at
I'm
all.
okay.
Cause that's a big thing, and that's misleading people overall, because it's just like a fraternity.
Okay.
And so you have these different badges of honor, I guess you would say, what they call pins, that sits there and says, from our standard, we consider you this. But you don't have to do that at all.
So you don't actually have to go to school to become.
No, you don't.
Okay, well, I need to know more about this because I had the wrong impression.
Yeah.
But we'll be back with more 28 Days and Beyond right after this. Welcome back to 28 Days and Beyond. So right before the break, we were talking just a little bit about the fact that you don't have to be certified to become a sommelier. But one of the other things that we do here on 28 Days is talk about how things affect specifically the Black community. So can you speak to just this idea of being educated and being able to bring wine to Black folks?
Oh my goodness, it's such a challenge.
Really? How so?
It's really challenging because the lack of information that trickled down to the community is really it's not highlighted, I should say. Yeah, so the only way that you understand about beverages is through the medium of music right about now, like Clap Clap Bravo, Moscato. So Moscato sales go up from that drink bar, you know? Ace of Spades, even though it's $1 million, it's still selling a whole lot because of Jay-Z. But even still, the brand itself is still a good product. Cristal, everything happens through that medium rather than the traditional of culinary school or just picking up a book itself, you know? So what I'm trying to do is on the media platform is give information, just little jewels, just enough to digest so you can sit there and like, oh, I get it. All right, cool. I want to try that. I want to try that, and give you the right stuff rather than anything that's unhealthy for you because it's hard to know what's good and what's not good for you because it's a lot of information on the back of a bottle that's hard to understand that lingo if you don't know the terminology.
Yeah.
So
and you actually started a company that helps to teach people about the various aspects of wine. So can you talk about
so it
that?
was really frustrating. So I started a wine club called Noble Grape Wine Club. And the whole idea of that was to sit there and try to translate the information to a digestible group of people, which I consider my own are African Americans here in America. So I just start using the media platform just to put out videos that's entertaining, and it helps with the personality, and I get so much engagement now and curiosity. And a lot of people actually have fun now, and they're excited about wine. So that makes me excited. And I try to find like good price points. Anything under $20 that's good quality. So, yeah.
So that's a question I always had. I mean, either you get wine from the box, or you're putting, $500 for a bottle from,
Yeah.
1896 and.
So I did I had a whole, I guess you say, box challenge on video where I sat there and I went through all box wines, and I gave you the results of some of them.
But you were drunk by the end, though.
No,
So
not on
really
camera.
count?
Not on camera. No, this is just the way I naturally look. My grandma caught me. It was like, you always look drunk on camera. I'm like, no, this is just how I look. You see this.
I'm drunk on life.
But is there some high quality stuff coming
Yeah,
out at a lower price point?
Yes, there is a lot. I mean, you just, like, a lot of the high price things are from exports from like France or Italy, and that comes from law because it's only so many that they allow for the U.S. market. So it's rarity. So it's all of those whole jargons. That's to debunk all of that. You could find some really good, inexpensive wines that has tremendous quality that's not from a region like Barolo, a little town right next to it that just doesn't have the same name, same quality, and that bottle will cost you around $10 rather than paying the $50 for a Barolo,
amazing.
But it's just, this is why.
So could we get like a crash course in like 30 seconds for appetizers, entrees, and dessert? Your favorite 3 wines.
I wouldn't put any names with it, but as far as like, I'm just gonna go sparkling all the way around because you can do that.
Okay.
For an appetizer, you can start off with something like a cava. For your first course or main course, you can go with something with a little bit more body, which is like a real champagne. Outside of that, if you want to get a little bit fun for dessert, I actually love any kind of like rosé, sparkling rosé from France. Can't go wrong, and that's still around like a $10 price point. You just gotta finagle it.
That's what's up.
Well, we still have a lot more to learn about wine.
I mean,
But
clearly.
unfortunately, we have to take a break. But where can people find you and find out more about Noble Grape?
Well, you can always
Club.
go to the website, www.noblegrapewc.com. You can always go to any of the social networking handles at Noble Grape WC, or you can go to Yo Bry Guy on any of those as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining
Brian,
us.
thank you for being
Thank
with
you.
us.
Thank you guys for having me here. This is awesome. I'm excited.
We'll be back with more 28 Days and Beyond.
Welcome back to 28 Days and Beyond. Brian was a fun guest.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
He was. Do you feel like you know more?
I feel like
Has your knowledge base grown?
It has
Amari?
not. No, it has not. What has grown is the realization that I know absolutely nothing about any of this stuff.
Well, there's more to life than boxed wine.
Yeah, sure. I mean, but one of the things I did think was, if we had samples, then I would be able to really,
so,
you know what I'm saying?
Then you
I would
could
be able
really-
to. Okay, this is what he's talking about.
You know what I found interesting though was when he spoke about how a lot of, particularly for Black people, a lot of their taste in alcoholic beverages and wine is influenced by entertainment or music. I thought that was really interesting because I never really thought about it. But when he said it, it was like, oh, that is true.
Yeah, what you hear them talking about on the radio is what all of a sudden people want to start drinking.
Yeah.
Right. But what I thought was fascinating was it is an art.
It is an art.
It's not like a scientific, you have to drink this with this, but it's really up to taste. You know what I mean? I thought that was really cool. It's something that you have to develop.
I wanted to ask him more about like what it means to let wine breathe and like why people
Let it
swirl it
breathe.
in the glass and all that stuff.
I know.
You
it.
do.
I don't.
See,
No,
I was
it has
gonna say,
something
you're
to do with.
holding out.
It has something to do with like, all right, when you swish it around, if you see the lines on the glass, that means something.
What does it mean?
Don't remember. I
You
don't
don't
remember.
remember.
No, but it was something along those lines. Yeah.
See, I usually go for like sweeter wines because I'm
But see,
just
but you're
that kind
cultured
of
though.
girl.
You're cultured. You're
I
cultured.
mean, I
you
try
know
to
about this
be.
stuff. You were
I
talking
try
about
to
creme
be.
brulee what before?
Creme brulee.
And putting wine with that.
Well,
People just be
yeah,
drinking
it's a
like-
dessert, so
So
you
you
would
drink
have
wine
to
with
pair.
desserts?
Yes, so that's one of the reasons why I asked them the question
Yeah.
because usually, especially if they do like a meal tasting, they'll have a wine that's paired with every single part of the meal. So they'll have a wine for the appetizer portion, they'll have a wine for the entree or the main course, and then they'll have a dessert wine. So usually sweeter wines tend to be for dessert. I mean, I do know that part, but for me, I like sweeter wines just around. Like I don't like wines that have too much of a like harsh aftertaste or woodsy aftertaste.
So in what instance would you want a wine that has a harsh or a woodsy aftertaste?
See, I don't know, but from what I've heard, if I'm remembering correctly, and Bryant, when he watches this, maybe he can correct me if
Yeah,
I'm
right,
wrong,
exactly.
but I think usually like for red meats, but I don't eat red meat, so that
So
would
there you go. So
probably
you wouldn't be, you
probably
wouldn't
be
be
a
rocking
reason.
with that.
Yeah, no, like I'm a fish poultry kind of girl.
That's
So.
what's up. Well, I'll keep my eyes out, you know, to his website and all his social
Yeah,
media to
for
see what I
sure.
can learn about.
I mean, I think it's just really cool to have that as a base of knowledge to be able to know, like, okay, if I'm going out to a nice fancy meal.
See, that's it. I don't do that. Okay.
Why not?
I don't do that.
What's
52nd Street, roti costs $7.
I love roti.
Yeah, all right then. That's all I need. You know what
But
I mean? I don't need all that. Yeah.
every now and again,
I got
you want a
you.
fancy chef to prepare your meal and a fancy glass of wine. And then you
Yeah.
call Bryant and you'll be good to
And then
go.
we'll be good to go. Exactly. Well, this has been another episode of 28 Days and Beyond.
Where we talk about our history, our heritage, and our culture. We'll see you next time.